So now we will see the classification of carbon atoms in organic compounds. So how do we classify the carbon atoms? There are two ways of classifying the carbon atoms. We will see the first way. Okay, so first way is classifying the carbon atoms into primary carbon, which is denoted as 1 degree carbon, secondary carbon, which is denoted as 2 degree C, tertiary carbon atom, this is denoted as 3 degree C, and quaternary carbon atom, this is denoted as 4 degree carbon. So this is the first kind of classification. So what is this primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary? How did we classify the carbon atoms like this, primary, secondary? So this classification is done based on the number of carbon atoms directly connected with that carbon, directly connected with that carbon. Like for suppose I just want to decide some specific carbon as primary or secondary or tertiary. I just want to decide what kind of carbon it is. Then what I have to do, then I have to check to that carbon atom how many other carbon atoms are directly connected. For suppose if one carbon atom is directly connected, it comes under primary. Two carbon atoms are directly connected with that, it becomes secondary. So like that, based on the number of carbon atoms directly connected with that specific carbon, it will be classified as primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary. I'll give you one example, you will be clear with that. So let us observe this example. Let me just give the numbering. First carbon, second carbon, third one, fourth one, fifth one, sixth one. Okay. Now I just have to decide the type of carbons now. Okay. So if you see the first carbon, this is directly connected with how many other carbons? Only one, right? The one on the right side. It is directly connected with only one carbon. So this is what kind of carbon atom? This is primary carbon atom. Because it is directly connected with how many other carbons? Only one. Now let us focus on the second carbon atom. So what kind of carbon is it? Just check how many carbons are directly connected with it. So left side one, right side one, above one, below one. Total 4 carbon atoms are directly connected with it. So it becomes quaternary carbon atom. And how do we represent it in a short way? 4 degree C. Now let us see the third carbon atom. So third carbon atom, you have to decide the kind of carbon it is. So if you see directly how many carbon atoms are connected, left side one, right side one. See above 2 carbons are there, but 2 carbon atoms are not directly connected. Only one in that is directly connected. So left one, right one, above one. So total only 3 carbon atoms are directly connected. So this is tertiary carbon atom. This is 3 degree. See sometimes this is also called type of carbon, or it's also called degree of carbon. Okay, 3 degree carbon, 4 degree carbon. It can also be called degree of carbon atom. Now if you focus on the fourth carbon atom and fifth carbon atom. So if you see fourth one, it is directly connected with 2, left one, right one. Similarly, if you take fifth one, it is directly connected with 2 other carbon atoms, left side one, right side one. So 4 and 5, they become what? They become secondary carbon atoms. That means what will be the degree of this carbon? It is 2 degree carbon atom. Okay. And what about the sixth one? Sixth one again becomes what? It again becomes 1 degree carbon, primary carbon. Okay. Because it is directly connected with only one. So I hope you are clear with this. So we decide the degree of carbon, or we classify the carbon depending on the number of other atoms directly connected with it. Okay. Now we'll see the second classification of carbon atom. Second kind of classification is considered when functional group is present. Like when functional group is present, how do we classify the carbon atoms? Let me take an example. Let me take 4 carbon atom containing compound. Now, okay. So if you see here, functional group is present. What is that functional group? It is alcohol. So when functional group is present, how do we classify the carbons? Is the carbon that is directly connected with functional group, that is taken as alpha carbon. The next one to it is beta carbon. The next one to it is gamma. The next one to it is delta. How you have to read it? You have to read out it as alpha, and this is beta. Then this is what? This is gamma, and this is the symbol for delta. So alpha carbon, beta carbon, gamma carbon, delta carbon. So how do we classify this? Depending on its position from the functional group. Carbon directly connected with functional group, that is alpha carbon. Next to that is beta, next to that gamma, and the next to that is delta. Okay. Now let us see one more example. So do we find any functional group here? Yes, CHO. It is which functional group? This is aldehyde functional group. Now this functional group is having carbon in it. Okay, so do not confuse here. We take alpha carbon as the carbon that is directly connected with functional group. Functional group is already having carbon, that's not a part of this alpha. Alpha carbon is a carbon that is directly connected with functional group. So this is your alpha carbon. Next to it is beta. Next to it is gamma. Now can I say this as the gamma carbon? No. Why? Because the carbon which is connected directly with beta, that is your gamma. If you see this below carbon, it is not directly connected with beta carbon. So this is not gamma carbon, okay, because it is not directly connected with beta. Now the carbon which is directly connected with gamma, that is your delta. So alpha directly connected with functional group, beta connected to alpha, gamma connected to beta, and delta connected to gamma. So this is second kind of classification of carbon in organic compounds. If you have any doubt in this topic, comment in the chat section. If there is no doubt, then all happy. Thank you so much.